Hello, welcome to You Know Something. I am Dina.
And I'm Diana.
Diana, last week we spoke about a lot of different topics. I thought it was a fun show. And one of those topics was a company called the Top Tens did a poll and asked people what they learned in school that they never used, that they feel like was just a waste of their time.
Yeah.
One of those things was memorizing the periodic table.
Okay. So we should have known that when you talked about it the other episode.
Yeah, and you said we realized how little we knew about it, and you said, Danny, you need to do a little more research before you bring up the periodic table because you know nothing about it. So I did a little more research, and I thought
Okay.
if it's interesting, I'll mention it. If it's boring, I won't. But I thought it was kind of interesting the things I learned. So are you interested in
Sure.
me
Let's
sharing?
chat about it. I bet
Okay,
our people would love to hear it.
okay. So what is the periodic table? The definition of the periodic table, it's a table that a chart that's different scientists from different times have put together so you can have a visual look at all the elements known to man in the world in front of you. And you can, the little numbers on them show how much the atomic weight is and all that. So when they're trying to invent something or they want a chemical to do something, they think, well, this has this quality, so this, and I want to put all these together. So it's kind of like a ingredients list for a recipe if you're going to cook something new.
Correct.
That's my dumbing down Dina ease. It's a Dina dumbed down explanation.
Pretty good.
Yeah. And an element is something that is down to its simplest form. You cannot divide it into anything else where other things are made up of various things. An element is its pure self.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of an interesting way to learn about it. And it's so
Yeah.
funny because I was learning all that and I play this little trivia game on my phone occasionally. It comes on every day. It's from Swag Bucks and you win pennies. Like if you get 10 questions right, you get 10 pennies or whatever, and you just do it every day and it builds up and it's just fun. I like to play trivia, but then you get a little spending cash too. But the first question, not before last, after I had studied this, was what is the first element on the periodic table? So I knew it.
Oh, wow. I don't know that I know it.
Yeah. I mean, I actually used it. Yeah, I was going to ask you, I'll give you a multiple choice because I had a multiple choice question from it.
Okay.
Hydrogen, nitrogen, or magnesium?
Hydrogen.
That's correct. Very
Really?
good. Yeah, and I
Wait.
won 56 cents.
Oh, well, I get half of that.
That's true. So I thought it was kind of ironical, and I say that ironically, ironical that we said we never used it, and then I actually used it like 2 days later after I learned it.
Of
So,
course.
so
Yes.
you never know. You might make 56 cents if you learn
Yeah.
stuff. But I also learned that there are 118 as of now. Somebody might discover a new one. And there's actually one. Now, you and I are Tennessee hillbillies.
Are we now?
And one one of the newest elements discovered is number 117 out of 118. It's called Tennessine, Tennes.
INE.
Yeah, I think it's just one S. And it's named that because people in Oak Ridge and Vanderbilt Laboratory and the University
Oh,
of Tennessee all combined to discover this. And I would assume that it has something to do with an atomic bomb, because of it's in Oak Ridge.
oh, perhaps, yes.
Yeah, it's a synthetic one. So, and it only has a life of 0.18 seconds. A lot of these elements only exist for a split second to perform a function. I guess
Yes.
to blow up would probably be what it is, and then it
Right.
disappears. So we do live in near an area where, the atomic bomb, the biggie, was invented.
Hmm.
You can think of that as a war maker or a peacemaker. I prefer to think of it as a peacemaker in that
Okay.
case. So, of the 118 elements, I'm only got a few more facts and then we'll move on. 94 are found in nature, just
Oh,
naturally.
okay.
24 were obtained in laboratories, either discovered or created. I don't know if you can create an element, but it just said obtained in laboratories.
Hmm.
There's actually, and I think Tennessee would make a pretty girl's name.
I think so too. Yeah,
Tennessee.
that especially for us hillbillies, like you say.
Tennessee, you get in this house and eat supper. Wash your feet. Oh, okay. And there's actually a song, you and I talked about, is there a trick to memorizing the periodic table? And there is I found a song on YouTube. I'll include a link if anybody's interested. It's like a kid's song, but it might help to memorize it. I think songs are a good way to, like the ABCs.
Great way to renew your mind.
Yes. Six of the deadliest elements are thallium or thallium. I'm not sure which. It's a toxin so strong it just shuts down your body.
Hmm.
Lead. I think we all know about lead, like in lead.
Right.
That takes long-term exposure
Yes.
to do brain damage. Mercury.
Hmm.
And I can remember my dad broke a thermometer so we could play with the mercury. Did you ever do
Oh
that?
my goodness. Oh no, we didn't.
It might explain a lot.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Well, he didn't realize it, but I get
All
on the kitchen
right.
table.
Bless it.
He was trying to teach me the kitchen table. And Mercury is like a little creature almost where if you try to touch it,
Yeah.
it wiggles and moves. And we were
Yeah.
chasing it all. We thought it was the funnest rolling it between our fingers. My daddy,
Okay.
my fingernails are like paper thin right now. That mercury poisoning. And mercury will, you have to be exposed to it over a long period of time also. So fortunately, and it will actually go in, you may know this as a medical professional, it'll go in and like change the shape of your proteins, twist them up, and which will
Right.
destroy you eventually. It causes brain craziness. And people who made hats, milliners, I think they're called,
Hmm.
back in the 1800s, used a mercury liquid to clean the hats with, make them shiny and buff them
Oh.
up. Hmm. And
Oh.
that is where the term Mad Hatter came from, like in,
That's interesting.
and
Okay.
it would drive them
Yeah.
mad. They would go cuckoo.
Absolutely.
They're like, why are all these people that make hats so nuts? What's going on? So that's a deadly one. And then there's a whole bunch of reactive elements that when they come in contact with other things, they become,
Correct.
like when you mix, what is it when you're cleaning and you don't want to do this? Mix ammonia and bleach,
Yes.
it
Hmm.
will kill you dead.
Hmm.
Some
Don't
ways,
be doing that.
Windex in one hand, Clorox in the other. You do not want to mix those two. And it seems like a very natural thing to do, doesn't it? Like when,
It does, and I'm sure when you're cleaning, and if you're not aware of that, you don't even think about it. And I think this is great information because everybody cleans, and we don't need to have, just as you said, one in one hand and one in the other.
yeah, I think about when I clean my toilet, I put Comet in the toilet bowl, which has
Yeah.
bleach, and then
Right.
I'll spray the seat with Windex sometimes. So Windex is ammonia, so I always think, okay, clean the toilet, shut the lid, clean the outside of the toilet. Don't, because that would be such an embarrassing way to die with your head face down in a toilet bowl.
Oh, mercy. Yeah, I don't want to do that. Mm.
All right, so those are called reactive elements. Then you have your radioactive elements. Those are real popular.
Right?
Polonium, a single gram of polonium can kill 50 million people.
Oh.
And Marie Curie's, she ended up, I think, getting cancer from working with radiation.
Mm-hmm.
And her sister actually died. I mean, her daughter died from it. Now, when you were in the hospital, haven't I seen nurses wear like little radioactive monitors, like if they work in X-ray and make sure they don't build up too much?
Um, I know that they use their protective, wear, but as far as actual monitor, I'm not aware of that.
I was thinking when my dad was in the hospital, they had a little medallion. I said, "What is that?" She said, "Well, that keeps up with my radiation exposure
Oh,
for a
I
day."
never did work in radiology, but I really didn't know that either. Maybe that's
Yeah.
something new that's come out in the last. I mean, that's great.
Yeah. I mean, just
Yeah.
to know that you have some, of course, I think we're all exposed to radiation every day,
Yes.
from different
Agree.
things. Yeah. And then arsenic, good old arsenic,
Phew.
it's been used over the years to get rid of annoying people because it's tasteless, odorless,
Right. Right.
pretty deadly. And there's a lot of, Agatha Christie movies written around that, but we do not recommend you do that. Murder is wrong.
Absolutely.
Get a divorce. Get a divorce.
Just go away. Do something different. Don't do
And then,
that.
it's right. We do not recommend it. And then finally, Francine, which actually is a girl's name. Francine, if you put it on your tongue, just a little dot, it would react to the moisture on your spit and your face would blow up.
Oh,
Yeah. So stay away from Francine.
goodness.
And we're actually made up of elements, because I said that last week. I said, are elements
Yes, yes,
what
you
we're
did say
made
that.
of? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just guessing. Pulled it out my rear. But we are actually made up of oxygen, 65% oxygen,
Hmm.
hydrogen, 18.5%. We're actually made of nitrogen, 3.2%. I wonder if that's why we sometimes spontaneously combust.
Is that the reason I have hot flashes?
When I went through hot flash, I really thought I'm going to explode. I mean, I will explode. It's possible. And when I was a little kid, I read an article about spontaneous combustion. You know what I mean? Where a person just,
Yeah.
I mean, I worried about it for years. I thought, I'm going to spontaneously combust. I mean, if it happens. And maybe it was Francine. Maybe these people actually came in contact with Francine. I don't know.
Never know.
Calcium, 1.5%, and phosphorus, 1%. And then we rely on, elements are good things too. We rely on sodium, potassium, magnesium, selenium, iron, and copper, to name some,
Hmm.
to survive.
Right.
So if it exists, if you can hold it in your hand, think of it or see it, it is made up of one or more of the elements on the periodic table. Until we discover something new, there may be some new elements we have not discovered yet.
That's very interesting. I've enjoyed talking about that, Dina.
Well, thank you, Diana. Thank you for
Well,
humoring me.
I no, I learned some stuff, so that's always good.
All right. Also, following up from last week's episode, just shortly, learning to play the recorder was one of the things on the list of things you never used. And you were like, why would you play a recorder? Thinking about a tape recorder, I guess,
Okay.
which we did. I did play with a tape recorder when I was little. Did you ever have a tape recorder and record?
Uh, oh yeah. Had multiple ones because I would go through them. I used them all the time, so I'd have to buy a new one.
We got it for Christmas, and my sister had a microphone, and I would like stick it over my belly button and record my stomach growling and like turn it.
Okay.
But it was like a toy. Did you use it like a toy, or was it
No, I used
practically?
it. No, I used it for really. I was always into music. Of course, I played piano and organ, so I a lot of times would just tape myself.
Very good. Well, see, Diana's very sophisticated. Well, we were in the same school system generally in the same area. She was more sophisticated than me. I was blowing on a plastic flute, and you were recording your piano music, and I was recording my belly digestion sounds.
So, if we're both hillbillies, and based on what you just said, what would I be called and what would you be called? As far as I'm the sophisticated one, if we're
Oh,
both hillbillies, as you said, what do
oh,
we call a sophisticated
you'd be
hillbilly?
a highfalutin hillbilly.
I'm a highfalutin hillbilly. I'm a HFB, highfalutin. Oh, no, I can't even.
HFH, highfalutin hillbilly.
Yeah, you got it.
Most people did learn to play the recorder, so I think you were deprived, maybe. I don't know.
I
But
probably was.
but it's called a recorder because, and I'm gonna dumb it down, Dina, dumb it down, because it's not a very sophisticated instrument, and it doesn't have like a big range of sounds that you can do. So it was just back in the far history, it was used to record, like if you had a song idea, you would
Hmm.
just grab up that recorder and you're
Hmm.
recording the idea for a melody.
Okay.
Or, or you're teaching someone a melody, like here's how it goes. So you're recording, because back then they didn't have tape recorders like I recorded my belly button with. They also used it to teach birds song. If they wanted to teach a bird to sing a song, they played these simple
Oh,
notes. So it was a way of recording an idea for music and to teach others a song that you had written. So hence
okay.
recorder. I did not know
Well,
that.
we used as a family, we used to record things for each other. We all had such a crazy schedule. So we would just leave message recordings, and whoever got home mom had left whatever we were having for dinner on the recorder, and so it was a way of communication for us.
So it was like a pre-voice mail system.
Yeah, yeah, because we
Makes sense.
didn't have phones back then or cell phones.
Yeah, cell phones. Yeah, that was a good idea. So
Yeah,
you had your answering machine, which was your little tape
yeah,
recorder kind of. Very cool. All right. So that's enough of backtracking from last episode. If you haven't listened to the last episode, we kind of enjoyed it. We thought it was fun and informative.
absolutely. Go listen to it, people.
Yes. As you probably know, Diana, and this is kind of somber, but I think we might can help people with this story. On June 12th, an Air India plane crashed on its way to the UK. Are you
Yeah.
familiar with that?
Yes.
And now when a plane crashes, we see it from all angles because there's always security cameras, cell phones, people in the plane with cell phones. We saw stuff from the inside.
Right.
So we're all very aware of it and it really sticks with you, rather than just imagining this plane crash. And there was over 200 people killed. I think there were some killed on land when they hit the doctor hostel. I'm not sure if any of those were killed, but over 200 people died. And there was one survivor from the plane, and he was in seat 11A.
Mm.
And people were like, wow, the one person of all these people, was it where he was sitting? What actually happened? Tell us the story. And then it turns out that in 1998 there was a crash, and famous Thai singer was in seat 11A of another plane, and he was the only survivor.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that made
Wow.
me think, is seat choice a possible predictor of maybe possibly surviving a plane crash? Now, generally, before I give you these facts, how do you feel about flying? I know you fly a lot.
Yeah, we fly all the time, and it does come to your mind, but at the same time, you can be in a car accident when you're driving on your way into work. So things are going to happen. I don't necessarily just love getting on an airplane, but it does get me from point A to point B. And as of late, it is relevant to recognize we need people who are proficient and effective in their jobs and their roles in order to keep people safe, no matter what seat you sit in.
I feel like if you go to a Taco Bell and it's chaos and you are sitting a long time at the drive-through window to place your order and you're sitting a long time at the actual window to get your food and the food is not right and the person is rude, that attitude spreads even to air traffic controllers, plane mechanics, pilots.
Right.
Apathy. It's a I don't care or respect what I'm doing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting by with the very minimum, you know, and there seems to be that.
And that is not okay when you are working with people's lives.
Yeah. I can eat a burrito with onion when I said no onion, but I don't.
Right.
Surviving a plane crash is not great.
So, seating 11A, of course, it depended on how big that plane was.
It's
Wasn't in
pretty
the
big.
middle, obviously. Yeah, it was pretty big. But that is more towards A would be more the aisle.
Is
And
it? I was trying to think, is that the window or is that the aisle?
if I'm correct, I think that that is the aisle. You
Okay.
may have to Google that. I may be
Yeah,
wrong.
we'll do that. I haven't been on a plane in like 6 years, so I can't remember. I always look and think, please let me be at the aisle or the window, not in the middle. I can't
Right.
remember if it goes ABC this way or ABC that way.
Well, now you can pick your seat, Dina.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can actually go on, well, we'll get into it because there is something to it. Now, as you said, as far as the psychology of flying, my attitude is it's in God's hands. It's out of my control. I need to make this flight.
Right.
There's nothing I can do about it. And what will be, will be.
Yeah.
And do you have any pre-flight rituals that you do? Because I have a friend, her pre-flight ritual is to stop in the bar and have a big old Long Island tea before she gets.
No, but Dan actually does. He always gets on right behind me and he'll take and pat the plane twice.
Oh, okay. Okay.
He's always done that.
For me, I want to
Oh,
be alert. I don't want to be inebriated. I know a lot
oh
of people
goodness,
take a
no.
Xanax or something, but I like to be, okay, if I'm going to go out on a wing, balance, I don't need to be tipsy.
No, you do not.
But people do freak out on planes. Sometimes they have anxiety attacks, and maybe they know themselves like, I need to self-medicate.
Correct. Yes.
So I appreciate them doing that so they don't get tackled and handcuffed in the middle of the flight. It's a
Yeah,
real
that's
thing.
not good either.
No, and it happens. It happens.
It does.
Okay, and as you said, driving in a car is much more dangerous. I think people don't get as scared driving because they feel like they're in control to a certain extent. Like I can swerve this way if I see this coming, I can drive defensively, but we are not flying that plane. But over 100,000 flights happen per day.
Yeah,
So if you hear about a major plane crash, it's because it's very rare.
right.
If you hear about one, 999,000 did okay that day. So keep that in mind.
I'd rather have the 100%.
I know. And it does feel like there are more plane crashes lately than before. And I Googled that, and it is not true.
Really?
Pretty much on par and maybe even a little less. But we just hear about it more because we hear about everything more.
Right.
That knowledge is at our in our hands on that phone constantly.
Yes.
And when there is a major plane crash, the news agency reporting on that gets a lot of clicks. So if there's a plane that wheels go into the grass a little bit, or they say our landing gear won't come down, and then they get it at the last minute, that's a big news story because everybody's going to
Yeah.
click. So therefore, you think this is happening everywhere. Where if the news wasn't trying to get clicks, you would probably never even, excuse me,
Right.
find out about it. So
Exactly. That's
keep
true.
keep that in mind too when you're feeling, oh, I've got to fly today. And also, if you, I was thinking about this, how many times have you driven past a car wreck in your lifetime? And how many times have you driven around a plane crash in your lifetime?
Mm,
Keep that in
good question.
mind. I've never
Yeah.
driven around a plane crash.
I'm never completely, no.
Yeah, so, but I have driven past many car crashes. I'm not trying to make people afraid to drive, but flying is safer for especially a long cross country trip, unless you just want to see the sights.
Right. Which is sometimes beneficial as well. You can
Yeah.
see a little bit from the air, but you can see way more from the vehicle.
Yeah. And I love to drive and I love to ride in the car
Mhm.
and go places. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What will be, I guess you could say. You can drive defensively, but this is about flying, not driving. So, all right. So, your seat choice. Does your seat choice make a difference? I went to an article, I include a link of flight quote experts in different fields and what they recommend. So, the first is your seat choice. People who sit in the back third of a plane, regardless of how big it is, in a big liner, a jet liner, I guess generally that's 10 rows, they said would be a third. I don't know. So there's
Mhm.
30 rows. I'm not sure.
Okay.
You can correct me if I've got any of this wrong, if you know. And people who sit in the back third of a plane have a 40% greater chance of survival in a plane incident. So you can actually go online and look at the chart of your plane, the seating chart, and see where things are
Right.
and choose your seat. And everybody wants to be up front. Everyone wants to be in first class. They call it
Right.
business class, but
What were the facts that back that up of the back third of the plane?
research of survival on plane crashes.
Wow.
Yeah,
I just
40%.
don't, I wonder
I
what
think
causes
it's
that.
because the nose of the plane crashes into the ground first, and then
Okay.
the plane breaks apart sometimes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so the back half separates from that first. So if the front crashes into something, that's where your fire is going to start because it explodes on impact.
Greater impact to the front. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Number two is your clothing choice. Now, what kind of dresser are you when you go on a flight? Do you like to get all dolled up or do you like to be comfy and warm or how do you dress?
I get all dolled up and I am comfy and warm.
Do both.
I do both. I I like to on planes it's usually cold.
Yes.
So
Freeze. I
I
freeze.
I know. I have me honestly a little blankie that I normally just carry on my arm, but no, I don't wear sweatpants or anything like that, but I wear, long pants and I think that the flight attendants and the people that are working on the plane, it's like you can tell they kind of like when people dress up.
Mhm. You can actually get an upgrade that has been proven when you are dressed nicely. You know, when they see you and you think, oh, that's a nice person and they look nice. Would you like to move up to first class? However,
Right.
your clothing choice can make a big difference. Number one, you do not want to wear synthetic fabrics. So I don't know what the pants you wear are made out of, but you need to wear cotton, wool. I guess linen
Ooh.
is a natural fabric. I'm not sure, but not polyester or synthetic jersey because it will melt onto your skin just from the fumes
Oh wow.
if the plane
Okay.
ignites.
Mm.
So keep that
Okay.
in
Keep that in mind.
mind. And then your shoes. Now, are you in your high heels in your plane?
Yeah. Yeah.
Diana,
What?
you cannot climb over wreckage and walk out onto the wing or jump down. You will puncture the evacuation slide.
Well,
Everybody
honey,
after you will die.
I will take the shoes off before I get down on whatever chute that I'm going down. I'll carry my shoes with me.
Yeah. They say it's you need to wear laced up athletic shoes so you can balance on things and you won't cut your feet on the wreckage of the plane. So I
Right.
don't know, Diana, you may have to choose. Maybe you could wear your heels onto the plane and then switch into your tennies while you're
Is-
sitting on the plane. You should never take your shoes off on the plane because you may have to jump up at a moment's notice. People will step on your foot, things will fall on your feet could get cut off.
Oh, Lord.
Okay? I mean, I'm telling you.
Yes, you are.
You can be a pretty dead person or you can be cotton, casual, alive person in your tennis shoes. Okay,
It's very interesting.
yeah, once you are seated in your plane, people like to be cool and not pay attention to the instructions and you don't want to think about crashing. You want to think about how fun it is and where you're going and talking to your seatmates and getting
Right?
your bag put away and all that. But once you sit down, you know where you are. Look around and find the emergency exit, like your flight attendant will tell you, and count should I go back or do I going to go forward? Which is the nearest exit?
Right?
How many seats? Because you may be in the dark, you may be in smoke, you may have your head down so you're not up in the flames. So you need to feel one row, two row as you touch the back of the seat. So look
Oh,
and think one, two, three, four, five, six seats I'm going to be touching to get out that exit, and it's on the left or the right. Just, do it and then have fun. But you do need to face the fact that you may have to know that.
yeah, be aware.
Yeah. So count your seats, plan your route of escape. The most dangerous times are 3 minutes into takeoff, which that India plane crashed like in less than a minute or something like that, I think, after it took off,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
8 minutes before you land. So, what can you do about that? Buckle your seatbelt, make sure it's on. People hate to put that seatbelt on, they can't wait to flip it off, but really, you should keep it on all the time unless you're getting up to go to the bathroom. You
I
keep,
do.
do you
Hmm.
keep it as tight as you can and be aware of what you're being told? Look at the lights. The lights will tell you things during that takeoff period and that landing period. Get serious, put things away. They tell you to do all that, and people are like, I'm just going to kind of hold my laptop or my book under so they can't see it. Put it away because it will become a missile that can hit you or somebody else,
Mm.
even just in turbulence.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a plane that had some bad turbulence?
Yes, went through a really bad storm one time, and it was a little scary, I have to say. Quite turbulent, but we obviously made it. But
Yeah.
it does make you aware that these facts are maybe going to save your life one day.
Yeah.
So this is great to know. Thank you. I appreciate it. I feel like you're doing this for me.
Good. Yeah, 'cause I don't go anywhere. If
Well, maybe
anybody
I'm
go
going to
anywhere, I'm
take
driving my
you.
Toyota.
I'm going to take you on a plane.
Well, thank you. Also, if you don't have your seatbelt on, if you take it off, even when they say, okay, you can remove your seatbelt to move about the cabin if necessary. If you don't need to, don't take it off because the turbulence, there have people been seriously injured, even killed with just a bump where, your head will hit the ceiling or you'll
Right?
fall out of the seat or even injured. I've seen videos of people on a plane said we had some turbulence and there's people with cuts on their head, people have fallen down. And I know it's not cool to leave your seatbelt on the whole time, but it's not cool to have a head injury, a brain injury. It's
No,
not
it
cool to
doesn't
forget
sound.
everyone you love and not be able to, and only eat applesauce because your brain is damaged,
Right.
which is cooler. Your oxygen mask, I think we all know that, where you put it on first before you would help someone else. Put it on me. You have 10 seconds before you start to get loopy without oxygen.
Okay.
And my sister one time was on a plane and she said they actually dropped they tell you, they show the flight attendants up there pulling that oxygen mask down and pull this,
Yes.
and nobody's paying attention to what
Right.
she's doing. So when they drop and you're panicked anyway, you probably can't even remember how to put on lipstick when you panic
No,
like that, let
that's
alone
true.
take the oxygen mask and put it on. So listen, listen, listen on how to do it. Read the little card thing in front of you. And then I've got it. I got it committed. And then go about reading your book or whatever, or watching your movie. But remember, you do have 10 seconds. So you can panic maybe for 2 seconds and scream and run up and down and then put your mask on.
Well, I just personally, this is just my opinion, but I think it's a little rude when people don't pay attention to those instructions because if there is a crash, my expectation is that everyone else would know exactly some of the things that you're referencing or what the flight attendant would be informing you of. So honestly, it gets boring, but to me, I pay her that attention and I give her eye contact, and I feel like they appreciate that because they're telling us that for a reason.
Yeah, I do that too. And even if I'm like, a lot of things are in my mind while they're talking, he or she is talking, I look them in the eye and smile, nod. But am I really taking it in? I don't know. But there's so many people just laughing and talking, and I can see the disgust on their face sometimes because they're thinking, if there's an emergency, you're going to be screaming at me. How do I use my? And I'm going to have to save you.
Well, and I'm surprised that sometimes they don't call people down and say, "Excuse me, you got 3 hours to talk. I need you for like 60 seconds."
Exactly. Yeah. Could you show me some respect here?
Yeah, yeah, just some respect.
Because she's going to be, or she or he's going to be putting their oxygen mask on. They're not going to come and save you with yours. So they got to put theirs on
Right?
too. Okay. Brace for impact. You always hear that, assume the position of crash. Have you ever had to do that on a plane?
No, I'm
Okay.
not.
That would be frightening, wouldn't it?
Yes.
What you do is I know people know you lean over, lean down, and, put your head down, but you are actually supposed to put your chest against your knees if you're able. Some people may not be able to be that flexible, but
Right.
all the way forward until your knees, your chest is touching in your case, your boobies is touching your knees. And then take your arms and put them behind your knees and clasp behind your knees and squeeze
Yeah.
very tightly. I think I would hold my wrists if I could rather than my fingers because your fingers could get pulled apart,
Yeah.
on impact.
Agreed.
And even you can rest your head on the seat in front of you to help brace you. And this does several things. One of them is when a plane may explode or catch fire, the fireball is going to be up in the ceiling and it's going to go over your head. So you
Oh.
could, your head face can melt off, or you could be down below the flames,
Hmm.
more likely to survive that way. And number two, most plane injuries are not from fire and are not from, I forget the other, like outward bodily injury that you can see, but internal organ damage and broken backs next because it's such a punch to and shakes you
Wow.
so bad and jerks you back. So if you're braced like that,
Right.
you're more likely to survive.
Sure.
And then if you crash in miracle of miracles, you're like, hey, I ain't dead. What's going on? Don't, I mean, thank God for it, but don't say like a long prayer right then. You can do it out on the tarmac. So what you want to do is immediately take your seatbelt off. Uh, look at the surroundings if you can jump in
Right.
because you may have wreckage over your head or whatever, and find that exit. But don't dilly dally. Don't think, oh, where's my laptop, or I'm going to get my purse, which I think I naturally would be like, oh, I got to get my bag of stuff, and then
Right.
it blows up. There you are.
And
You survived.
and then there you are with your stuff all blown up.
Your
Okay.
handbag is melted to your bone arm. I don't mean to be disrespectful so close to a plane crash, but I mean, I have to laugh at this stuff or I go crazy.
It's a sad thing.
It is. So once you do realize that, hey, I'm alive, and you get out of the seat, move to the exit with your still crouched down. You don't have to be with your boobs on your knees, but keep your head down because there could be objects flying around. You may bang your head into something sharp,
Right.
get knocked out or cut yourself really bad. All right, so as you're moving through the plane, you've survived. You need to be leaning over and you need to keep your arms over your head because stuff could hit your head and your noggin is vital to get you out of there.
True, Tina.
And do we remember our route? Do we remember our number of seats we have to fill to go out? And whether we're going to go left or right? Are we just going to jump out the big gaping hole that's in the plane?
Yeah, I want you to do what is Tomb Raider? What was her name?
Oh, yeah.
Angelina
Lara Croft.
Jolie, Lara Croft. Yes, I want you to be a Lara Croft with me and just jump right on off.
Swing from somebody, something. Swing from the
Swing
strap
from that
hanging.
oxygen hanging down.
Oh, gosh. So you really do not want to leap out of any open hole, and you know how people jump off of buildings when they're on fire. My goodness, if a plane is on fire, you're going to try to leap out. But it's good if you could use mystery evacuation slide
True.
because a plane is pretty high up
Yes.
and you don't know what you're going to land on. So mystery evacuation slide is just basically a big blown up inflatable jumpy house.
The kids play on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is you do not want to you just think of it as I'm getting out of here and you just start walking on onto it. You're probably going to tumble forward,
Right.
injure yourself. Yeah. And I've seen videos of people doing that and they really got injured. So they don't go over with you how to do that on the flight before the flight, but I'll include some links to that slide, how to evacuate properly. But basically you want to cross your arms in front of you so that you can kind of keep yourself not have flailing arms and all that and go all over the place.
Yeah.
And then kind of jump onto it, jump
Lean forward.
up and down. Well, you don't want to lean forward because you roll. So you kind of want to
Okay.
lean back and just,
Lean back.
yeah. Like they do on, you know how they tell you to do that on water slides? Lean back, cross your arms, and
Yeah.
because you'll
I
tumble.
never liked I never liked that. I always feel like I need to lean forward.
I know it's kind of a natural thing to do, but, and then you can watch the other people in front of you do it the wrong way and you can learn.
You're gonna learn real fast.
Oh, that man did not land well. I don't want to do it like that.
Yeah, that doesn't look pretty.
No, that was not a good one. All right. And don't stop and, like great judge people at 9, 7, hold up cards as they're jumping. That was 4. Focus, focus. That's all really that you can do, except once you get out, keep a moving. Keep a moving. Get away from the plane. At least 500
Yes.
feet.
Yes. Keep it moving. Whatever you're moving, keep it moving.
Yeah, because I think you want to have a chance to kind of just fall down because you're either injured or you're so relieved to be off, you just collapse.
Well, they have that crescendo where that truly stressful moment, and then you recognize the situation may not be okay at the moment, but you're eventually going to be okay. You have survived this.
Yeah.
Can you imagine just the traumatic stress? I
Mm-mm.
mean, and we make light and we, make things funny so that it's interesting, but these are all very great facts in order to keep yourself and others safe.
Right, exactly. And you do, just keep going. And hopefully there'll be people there instructing you at the bottom to, go. You want to be at least 500 feet away because there could be other explosions. You
Yes.
want to make room for those emergency vehicles because there was an incident where foam was sprayed
Mm.
and people had just laid down and the foam was sprayed and the fire truck came and could not see and ran over people and killed them.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine surviving a plane crash and you get run over by a fire truck? So,
No, that's a bad day.
yeah. So you move away at least 500 feet from the plane. Then you pray and get down your knees and thank God. Now,
Yes.
the unlikely event of a water landing, you know how they say that?
Mm-hmm.
They call it a landing. And Sully Sullenberg did land on the Hudson River. If you recall.
That's exactly right.
It is
That
possible.
was incredible.
I know. Amazing. Amazing. So they ended up on a wing. And I don't know how good your balance is, but I have vertigo. I know you do too.
Yeah, I do too.
So you want to listen to what they say when that happens. They're not going to go into every detail until that happens, but listen to your instructions, stay calm, how to stay calm, and they will instruct you what to do. They're experienced and they can tell you what to do, but you probably will end up standing on a wing if you're in the water.
Correct.
Good idea to probably learn how to swim, which I can't officially swim. Are you a good swimmer?
Yeah, I'm a great swimmer.
I figured you would be.
Remember I was a lifeguard. We talked about that.
Of
You
course.
forgot
Well,
that.
then let me ask you, Miss Lifeguard, you end up in the ocean, let's say. You're on the wing, the plane is sinking. You cannot swim. Now you've got on a floaty thing. What is something a person who is not a great swimmer can do to survive? What's a move or a position you can take?
Well, just being on your, in my opinion, just staying afloat on with your back. You don't want to be, forward and just trying to relax and rest on your back. Hopefully, there's going to be rescue vehicles coming very quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're trying to just tread water and move all that stuff around, you're just going to exhaust yourself. The energy's I can imagine after you've endured all that, you don't have much energy anyway. So just laying back and letting yourself float on the ocean is the thing to do.
And hopefully you'll have that seat that you can hold on your in front of you and lean back
Yep,
and
that's
float.
true.
Yeah. Okay. Float on your back. Oh, okay. Good tip. So hopefully you will not experience this. No one you love will experience this, but maybe because we have kind of been goofy about this, it will stand out in your. That's kind of why I do it because I think you remember things more when there's something silly associated with it.
Yes.
And you'll remember we two crazy ladies when you're on the plane and say, Dina and Diana said to do this. So hopefully we can help you with that. Have you
So, Dina, oh, I'm sorry,
Oh,
I
no,
didn't
go
mean to
ahead. Go
talk
ahead.
over you.
No, it's fine. Go.
I have a question. When we have our oxygen come down and we apply it to our face, what happens with that when we have to leave and crawl out to find the exit? It's not like you can take your oxygen mask with you.
If you did forget it was on your face and you took off out, it would spoil and probably bring you back to your seat. Well, I would think that when a plane, quote, lands hard, there'll be plenty of oxygen coming through all those gaping holes in the plane. So you can throw that oxygen mask or take it as a souvenir. If you want to take it with you, you can probably yank it out of the plane.
I'm sure they'd let you have it.
I'm sure. Oh, Lord. Now, what is the worst experience you ever had on a plane? Have you ever experienced like severe turbulence or?
Yes, we have been in a storm situation and it was quite turbulent enough to my fingernails were digging into Dan a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we're getting a little and I also suffer from vertigo, so the turbulent plane does not help me. It makes me sick.
Right.
So it's bad to be in that situation and be sick.
Yeah. I've experienced turbulence like going into Las Vegas. No, flying out of Las Vegas. You know how when you try to leave Las Vegas, you're having to go over those mountains and that
Right,
you're just struggling to get up. And you notice how people react. Everybody wants to be cool, and they all kind of look at each other and it gets very quiet and that bump, bump, bump. And then when
right.
you get up, everybody's kind of like, oh, shoosh, Interesting how people react in a situation like that. But
Whew, lots of personalities on a plane.
oh my goodness, you're locked in this capsule with no escape with crazy people.
Yes, absolutely. Look at history. What
Have you
happened
have you
on
ever known?
9/11?
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, that's a whole nother thing. Do you know any flight attendants or
I do, actually. Yes, I know a couple of flight attendants.
I always wonder what would make you, I mean, I'm so glad people do and I respect them so much, but just the odds of going up every day, several times a day, and really helping people with no escape when you have no escape and see the worst in people, I would think, wouldn't you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. There are going to be people that are stepping all over people, screaming. It is going to be chaotic. So
Mhm.
stay away from those people.
They're true heroes, angels for sure, and very patient. And when they lose it occasionally, you see videos of flight attendants losing it. I'm always like, I don't, you deserve to lose it. You can lose it. It's okay.
Agreed.
Go off on that. that person. All right. Well, Diana, I didn't tell you there was going to be a quiz
Oh,
afterwards.
okay.
Okay, you're booking your next
Surprise.
flight. Tell me what you've learned.
I have learned that I can go on and I can see which seat that I want to sit in, and I'm choosing 11A.
If you can't get 11A, you want to be on the back third. To me, 11 would be in the front, but we won't go into that. Okay, then what next? Next steps are you going to take for safety?
Next step I'm gonna take is I'm gonna wear the right kind of clothes. I'm gonna take me a pair of tennis shoes because you want me to change into those,
You can
whatever.
still look hot going through the airport.
And I'm going to put my seatbelt on and keep it on. And I'm also going to listen to the flight attendant, even if I think that I know everything. I'm sure there's something that she could educate me on. And
Hmm.
it's also respectful.
Agree.
Um, how am I doing on my quiz?
You're doing great so far. So let's
Okay.
say there's some turbulence. You'd be good because you got your seatbelt on nice and tight.
Right. And if the oxygen mask did drop down, I would put mine on first.
Exactly. And
And
you
I
would
would
pay
have
attention
that.
on how to put it on while watching the flight attendant.
That's right.
Okay. So let's say you're going down. What are you going to do?
Mm. Prayer would be the very first thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
good.
I would grab Dan's hand and pray and close my eyes.
What position are you going to take?
If we're going down, I'm gonna have my head down and I'm gonna have my chest on my knees and my arms wrapped underneath me and enclosed, meaning either your fingers or if you can reach your elbows, that's even better. To
Okay.
be in like the fetal position.
Right. And I don't think I mentioned you do want your seat tray upright.
Oh, yes,
Obviously, your head could be against the seat in front of you to help brace you and cushion you.
correct.
What are you going to do with your laptop that you had in your lap?
Well, I didn't have one in my lap,
Okay. So you don't have any missiles in your hands.
but if Dan had one, I would put it. It should have been put away to begin with, is what you had told us.
Yeah, put it
So
under the seat. If there's
under the seat,
yeah, if there's a problem, put it underneath the seat. Okay, so then you land, you wake up and you realize you and Dan are cool. You're good. What are you going to do?
I'm gonna give him a kiss.
So everybody should give Dan a kiss, and then what?
No, I'm going to give Dan
What are you
a kiss.
immediately going to do once you realize you survived?
So, are we in a crash? We're
Yes, you
actually
have
in a crash.
landed. Yeah,
We have, but we've crash landed.
yeah, you got to make an emergency exit.
Okay. So we would get out of our seat belts, take
Hmm.
off our oxygen, get down on the ground and protect our head, count the number of seats in either direction, whether you're going frontward or back.
Yeah, and you would have done that at the beginning. We forgot that.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
And if you get to the wherever you can exit the plane, that they have what are those jumpy things called?
Evacuation slide.
Evacuation slide.
Fancy.
And, and I'm
Remember,
going
you're a
to,
highfalutin hillbilly. You got to say
I know, right?
fancy.
I'm going to cross my arms and I'm going to lean back, not lean forward. I'm going to lean back and I'm going to jump.
Right. And then what?
And then I'm going to get out. I don't
You're
know.
gonna run. You're gonna run.
I'm going to run. Oh, that's right. Get away from the plane.
Yeah, very good.
I listen.
You are. You're a good listener. All right. So, is there anything you want to add? Any final thoughts before we go? I think you already shown what you learned, which was a lot, and hopefully other people learn. But I'm gonna let you close out the show today.
Oh, well, isn't that just sweet of you? Just to put me on the spot like this. With everything that's going on in the world and plane crashes, etc., I think it's an important time for all of us to remember to remain calm. There's nothing about a situation that's going to change if you are out of control and screaming and acting a fool, is what my Nana would say. And so we're all human beings and we all just want to get up and live our life that day and come home to our family that night. And unfortunately, that does not happen sometimes. So it's always wise to give ourselves education and knowledge so that we can be as safe as we possibly can be so we can return to our families.
Very
That's
good.
all I'd have to say.
That's awesome. I appreciate you joining me again, Diana. We appreciate all our listeners, and we will see you Sunday for Giggles and Gratitude. Bye bye.
And don't miss us. Bye bye.